A-Team.
What an exciting and wonderful time. Hello.
That was delightful.
That song is my jam, you know? I had to listen to it like 9 times in the process of putting this together, and now it's just like, it's groovy.
I feel like it's like the intro to one of those like little chill video games where you don't do much anything but keep your fingers busy.
Yeah. How are you both doing?
We're tired, I think.
Yeah.
I think I speak for both of us.
Yes, you speak accurately. Tired, hot.
It's got to be 85 or 90 degrees.
Yeah, it was 88 degrees when I left Capitol today.
Seriously?
So, yes.
It's like 52
quite muggy.
Oregon.
I'll trade you. I'll trade you.
I would at least trade you for the lack of humidity, hopefully.
Yeah.
The stickiness is where I am.
It's like a specter hanging over me, this notion that like when I go to North Carolina, my hair, which is not like the straightest, as you may have been able to tell through the computer screen, is just gonna like become a like like a balloon cloud of like frizzy disaster.
It's gonna be a whole new learning process for you. I personally, as a curly-headed person, have discovered that products with avocado in them have a nice calming effect on that.
Fantastic.
Yes, so highly recommend avocado.
I will buy the avocado stock right now.
Yep, you'll need it.
I do like an avocado. I like an avocado.
I would love an avocado.
Actually, that's that would be like a good icebreaker question. Like which fruit, vegetable, or legume do you feel like best describes you today?
Ooh.
Describes me. Roasted. Best by the handful. I don't know. I don't know how to finish that.
That's okay. You started strong. That's all that matters.
I was gonna say a kiwi. Maybe because I haven't shaved my legs in 2 weeks now, which is a lot better than what it was before I shaved it that 2 weeks ago. I couldn't tell you when I shaved it before then, but kiwi, dry and furry on the outside because my skin feels the sun I was in today, and yeah, I don't know. Surprising on the inside? I don't know.
I like that because kiwis can get away with being a little bit tangy and sour. So if you're tired and grumpy, it's a nice way to excuse that. Be like, don't take it out on me. I'm a kiwi. My bite
I'm a kiwi.
My beauty.
They're also hard for a really long time. Takes a long time to ripen up.
Someone in the comments just said, "Hi, sweet tea Shakespeare friends," with a smiley face. So I don't know who you are, but hello. We're so happy to have you here. Joining our virtual happy hour. Yeah, I think that I was going along the same lines, Jessie, because up until like 3 days ago, I hadn't shaved in the Lord Almighty only knows how long. But now I'm a little bit less fuzzy, so I'm gonna say like a strawberry. Because I think that I have a tendency to overshare, and so it's like I got all my seeds on the outside. Like there's nothing hidden here. It's all out in the open for people to see.
I like that.
Yeah. And just a little bit
I don't know.
just a little bit hairy. So Jeremy, you are drinking wine today.
I just should say I must be the coconut then because I do not have a fur problem, as you know.
It's called societal expectations.
Yeah.
I'm drinking a beverage.
Good.
It's a Traminier.
Easy for you to say.
I guess that's how you say it. Although now that I have a reputation for mispronouncing everything, I will say that it is from Moldova. It is a wine sold to me by one Patrick Leclerc of Leclerc's General Store.
Should I know? I don't know who that is.
When you move to Fayetteville, you will know Patrick. He's a good local proprietor of the strangest store you'll ever be in. It is very much like a general store. it sells wine and other beverages, coffee, and then like everything in the store for sale. It's like antiques and all kinds of stuff. He's like a designer for, I'm going to get it wrong, but it's like Eddie Bauer, national designer for Eddie Bauer. And so it's beautiful. It's a beautiful store. And I just go in about twice a week when I have to go downtown to pick up stuff for my kids. And I pop in and get a coffee, socially distant, keep the mask on. It's great. And he's had some wine deals lately, so here I am.
I love to check that out because I've never been there, and it sounds fun.
It sounds awesome. Is he like really snappily dressed?
He is usually like the most laid back dude you've ever seen. But the store is stunning. That's the best way to say it. And he's a good friend to us. He has, he's loaned us set pieces before and all kinds of stuff. So.
Oh, cool.
Peter Leclerc, is that his name?
Patrick
Leclerc. Well, thank you so much for supporting Sweet Tea. And well done, Jeremy, for drinking the French wine, Moldovan wine you can't pronounce in a Russian mug. There's something wonderfully like transcontinental happening over on your end. Jessie, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking water because I realized with all the wearing of the mask we did today, I completely forgot to drink my water because it's kind of hard to drink with a straw or with anything if you have a mask on. So yeah, I need to learn to hydrate better.
Yeah, because you're running
in this new climate.
You're running a rehearsal room right now. It's not only that it's hot outside, you're managing actors.
Managing actors and trying to but yeah. So that's my story today. What did you got? I think I saw a Gatorade bottle.
Gatorade. So where is it? How do I get it in the camera frame? There we go. I realized that for the last like 3 or 4 of these, every single time I've gotten on, I've been drinking water, which is incredibly boring. So no, you need to hydrate because you were actually doing stuff. But I just wanted to be a little bit more, I don't know, like diverting today. So I decided that I would wear a blue dress and I would drink blue Gatorade and I'd like make a theme of it.
Well, there we go.
Someone says our voice is echoing. Yeah, that's my question. Whose?
Check.
I can unplug the microphone. I'm just trying to get used to using all this equipment.
Wonderful. I think sounds great.
I'm not hearing people twice, which is really nice.
Yeah, same here. I think that eliminating the anchor piece was a nice headache relief.
Yes, definitely. Love Anchor, but not so much at the same time as Skype.
So, Jessie, how was rehearsal today? You were in person with your actors. That's a radical experience.
It was good. Yeah, very different from how we normally are since we're socially distancing and wearing masks. We spent the first chunk of the day setting up a new kind of recording studio we can use to do live shows or streaming shows. So that was fun, and picking out costumes. So we now have most of our costumes all together. And then the afternoon we rolled over and started music rehearsals, which for us mostly consisted of us figuring out what we're singing and who's singing what and where the songs kind of sort of go, which we're still working out. But it was mostly just really nice to have bodies in the same room. Because this is very different because we haven't had that at all with this show or with any of the shows this summer.
And this is
it is. Well, I was just going to say it's a little like the Twilight Zone or something to see people that you really haven't seen like for 2 months now. That's pretty strange.
It's like you get in a room with them. You're like, oh, that's how tall you are. I was talking to your shoulder.
That's exactly what my brother said because he's in the cast too. And he said, I've never met some of these people before, and I was guessing they were different heights than they actually are. He's like, some people are much shorter than I thought they were going to be, but I'm not going to say who. So I don't know who he thought was taller, but that was fun.
I've actually had that experience before. I was just talking about it with a friend of mine not that long ago about how, like, I met him after many times of seeing him, like, speak publicly, like, at a podium, and seeing him, like, at a long distance, right? And so I just sort of, like, in my head constructed a height for him that had nothing to do with reality, but it was just like, I bet he's, like, this tall. And then when I finally met him in person standing up, I was talking to his shoulder. Like, I was off, like, a entire foot.
Wow.
And I'll never, it's something that person is, like, not aware of, but you're very aware of it because you raise your head to a certain height and you realize you can't see their face. So I actually do kind of understand how disorienting that can be. Jeremy, what you doing?
I'm just hanging out.
Oh, great. Awesome.
I was thinking that on Zoom everyone is the exact same height, and that is that's an advantage, I would think, for some.
It's a nice equalizer.
Yeah, it's definitely nice. We were also talking as we were hanging lanterns from the ceiling that no one in the show is particularly tall, so that's kind of nice. So even though there is some height differences, it's not a huge drastic thing, I don't think, coming from Zoom to that as height anyway. So that's nice. We have no giants.
Awesome. There actually are some Shakespeare roles that call for, like, really, really tall / large actors, and nothing makes me happier than when those roles, like Charles the Wrestler and As You Like It, are played by just the tiniest little acrobatic actors. So
I remember an As You Like It I did once that had a tiny Charles, but I can't remember who it was. But I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's like when
Mighty Mouse Charles.
Charles the Rat. No, it's like when people cast actors of, like, different gender identities as, like, the twins in Comedy of Errors. Like, it's delightful because the story is already ridiculous. Everyone has bought into the comedy and the heightened world, the whimsy. Everyone's already there. You might as well just, like, reach for the stars and have, a female and male presenting actor both playing Dromio.
We just did that, actually. When did we do that? Like a year and a half ago, we did Comedy of Errors, where we had the Dromios played by Jen Palm and Jessica Osno, and they actually do look alike, except Jen Palm is, like, knee height and Jessica is normal. And there was like a running inside joke about their, like, confusing the two of them anyway, because they do kind of look like each other. And then Taj and Tracy played the Antipholus, and it was pretty freaking fantastic.
That's so great. I love that.
It was pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
That's good.
The comedies are so primed for that kind of cheeky casting. I'm not saying that you should ever cast in, like, regressive or restrictive ways, but I think with the comedies you are sort of inherently enabled to have fun with the way that you cast it, especially the plays where cross-dressing is involved.
I do like a good cross-dresser.
As do I. Well,
so I got into theater.
I think, David, and while we're picking out costumes today, says, I see why you guys do theater now. It's so you can play dress up.
This is true. David is our technical director most of the time, and has blessedly joined us in Knight's Tale. He was not planning to do so, but when Midsummer, he's playing Snug in Midsummer, and when the opportunity to do that went away until next year, he stepped up for us in Knight's Tale. So I think this might be his first play.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I believe
as an actor,
yeah.
Of course. He's been an audience member many times, so yeah.
Yeah.
But Jessie, you are correct. embarrassingly, the number one thing I miss about my time as an actor was getting to wear all the pretty costumes.
Absolutely. I used to have like such an enormous amount of I'm trying to figure out what I have done to my screen. I made everybody, it wants me to share my screen, but I don't want to do that.
Or do you?
It apparently thinks I do, so this is now interesting. I used to have like a crap ton of different costumes, and I still have a lot of that. I fixed it. I'm actually sitting next to the costume closet, and my husband's a Civil War reenactor and has a ton of his own costumes as well. So we just have all kinds of random things.
Okay, wait, I need more, because this is something I've only ever heard about, like, as a myth or on television. He's a Civil War reenactor. What does that mean?
Yes. So they go to different battle sites of the Civil War, or replica sites if you can't get to the actual site, which is frequently the case now. You have to go somewhere nearby, and you kind of pick a date usually similar to when the battle would have happened. And all these guys get together. There's civil, they've got the Confederates and they've got the Union soldiers, and they dress up in their costumes or uniforms, and they reenact the battle. So they'll like load blanks basically and shoot and fire at each other. The women get to do boring things like cook and clean, which is what I get to do when I come along. I get to sit in the sun in a really long, sweaty dress, either when it's freezing cold or when it's super hot and muggy. There's never been an in-between. And I help people. I sit around and cook, and I wash dishes, and then we talk, and usually I fall asleep when the actual battle happens. So that's pretty much what happens. And they'll drill and stuff like that, but he really likes it. We'll tent camp. We have like this giant canvas tent, A-frame, and we glamp it up a bit because we'll take these military cots. And the thing is, they call things, you have to keep things what they say FARB, which basically means period correct. And so as long as you hide your not period correct stuff, you're fine. So we have 2 military cots we stick together, and we put a blow-up mattress on top of that, and then we cover it with a big quilt. So it looks like we just camped and brought our entire bed with us. So it's fun.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah. When you get down here, we'll have to take you to one.
Please. I'm so excited. I absolutely want to go. I will wear a corset and I will wash. I can't wash dishes. I can't really do anything domestic, but I can like carry things. I can like carry your set pieces.
We definitely need carriers for sure.
That's incredible. I honestly have never met or heard of anyone in IRL who does something like that. This I have to see.
Yeah, I recently met someone who has done I forget what you call it now. I'm going to use the wrong word, so I'm just going to not use the word. The medieval reenacting. And they do like, I forget the word for it, but...
Isn't it LARP?
Yes, LARPing, yes.
LARP, yes. Live action role play, yeah.
Yes, so she LARPs, or has LARPed, and that's fun. I think they're a lot less strict about being period correct because there's such a large time period that encompasses. It's another kind of acting, basically. So
and it would be. I mean, wouldn't it like violate so many health and safety codes if people were actually living period appropriate to like the 13th century?
Oh yeah, yes. We think we have porta potties brought in, which is still kind of gross. Some people actually bring like their own old school potty chairs, which is real fun. Like literally, they have these chairs, and I'm reminded of this because my husband and I were watching Pawn Stars yesterday when we got done with rehearsal, and one of the things they were selling was the antique potty chair. But basically, it looks like a chair. It's the same height as a chair, but it has a lift-up seat, and in that seat is where you would put your chamber pot. So I guess it's for like, instead of doing the squatty potty thing, this is where the laziness started kicking in. But yeah, a lot of people bring like their camp toilet and sit it under their nice potty chair. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. A lot of people don't actually have those, but they're very cool.
Jeremy, have you seen one of these Civil War reenactments?
No, I haven't. I will say that the only reenacting I've seen here locally, I think, is Revolutionary War reenactors, actually, because we have a big sort of revolutionary culture, Lafayette culture here, that is for whom Fayetteville is named. And there's a big Lafayette festival, actually at our host venue, Museum of the Cape Fear. They do a Lafayette festival every year. So I've seen some of that, but that's it. I don't think I've seen the Civil War stuff.
So we're going together. That's happening when I move out there.
Sounds fine. There are some Civil War battlefields nearby.
There are. We have quite a few.
That's going to be our AAD like bonding trip. We're going to go and watch some Civil War reenactments.
There we go. We'll make sure we feed you.
I love it. Thank you for that. Well,
collard greens and scrapple or something.
You know it, yeah. Collard greens. Yeah, we have some girls that reenact with us, and they are some really good cooks.
I have so much to learn. Well, we talked about talking about like we had a bunch of things on our we could talk about this today, but I think we were kind of off to a good start with the comedies, and I loved what Jeremy was saying about how you really can't go wrong with a cross-dresser. So like why don't we go a little novelty, and why don't we talk about like dream roles in the canon, and thinking specifically about roles that maybe are against type, sort of recalling some of our conversation about how we cast and what it means to cast by type. Let's talk about roles that we would like to play, even if we may not ordinarily be cast as them.
So I will say I want to go back to play, and I think I would do this every day for the rest of my life if allowed. I would play Don Armato every day. I would play Don Armato every day.
Will you play him in mine? Because I'm doing it. I'm making you let me do it in the next couple of years. Sure.
Yeah, I did it in graduate school, and I just think it's wonderful. It's just fantastic.
It's such a good.
He is a pure human being. So and aside from that, dream roles. I mean, I think would like to play Hamlet. And so someday, maybe. Unconventional.
Can I be cheeky and ask why? Because I really don't like that play, and I would just love to hear like what you want to bring up, what you see with the character.
Yeah, I mean, so I think well, so I will say this. I did a production with my friend David Henderson at Honest Pint Theater in Raleigh a few years ago. I directed, and he played Hamlet, and it was just a fantastic experience. And I have thought since then, he played sort of unconventional Hamlet too. He was closer to 50 at that point. I think he might have been 48. Correct me if I'm wrong, David. And it's just had I would just like to like do that production again, sort of, and like take the role instead, and he can direct me instead. I just enjoyed that production very much. I will say about Hamlet, I mean, it's super famous. I think the good parts are that there's a person standing in front of an audience saying things that you're not supposed to say out loud. And I think if you like treat it that way, it moves from sort of being Hamlet to something pretty provocative, and that interests me a great deal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I have not personally thought about this very much. So just like since you've prompted, I think for me, I guess based on age and size, I I usually get to play like the boy or the young person or, you know, something like that. So I think it could be really interesting, mostly because I'm thinking it's an opposite of what I probably would play if I was in this show, is in The Tempest, Caliban. Okay. Because also I usually get cast in a very either a comedic role or just something a little bit lighter. And it would be nice to be somebody dark and broody for once.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, a character like that is so physical that you could really lean into the full, like you could really transform yourself.
Right. It's very much a full body experience, like, which acting should be anyway, but it's like, you know, here's my body, how I normally use it, and here's a new way of using that.
Yeah, I mean, you would be able to explore the spectrum of your own instrument and what you can do with what you've got. That would be really interesting. I would like to see that. Yeah, that's a good... Have you directed Tempest, Jeremy?
Yes, it's my favorite play right now. I think it's my favorite play since I did it the first time.
And when was that?
We've done it. I did it for American Shakespeare Theater Young Company theater camp many years ago. I was like leaving graduate school at the time, so it would have been like 2007 or so. And then we've done it twice at Sweet Tea, including our most recent one was 2 years ago. And I just love the heck out of that play. I think it is perfect. That's the best way I describe it. I'm not sure I fully understand it, but I think it's perfect anyway.
Interesting.
It's so good. And there's just so many layers to it. We, when I was going to school up in New York, La Mama did like a season or something where they literally had 3 different versions of the Tempest play. Yeah. And I think we saw 2 of them. I can't remember what the first one was, but it was good, and that was in English. And then we saw another version that I believe it was a Korean theater company brought over. So it was all in Korean, but like it was very visual, and they did the whole like fabric pieces and all that. So it was really cool. And the spinning fans, or not.
I freaking love fabric in theater.
Oh yeah.
You're going to learn this about me, Claire. There's a running joke about my love for fabric and plays.
Great.
I just like drapey fabric. I just love it. Drapey fabric everywhere.
So much you just spend all afternoon putting fabric around our room.
I put fabric all over our studio at Holy Trinity today, and it just makes me so happy.
I mean, I guess
it can become anything.
Yes,
a piece of fabric can become anything.
Yes, that's like the Cohen book, right? The like stick and the piece of fabric and the block, and you've got a whole world, right? Isn't that the thesis?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We had when I was taking directing in college, we had these assignments we had to do where we took like a Renaissance piece of art, and we had to then stage a scene with our classmates and just a few pieces like of props that you could just grab from your house, which usually included bright pieces of fabric to illustrate whatever you're doing and get the gist of it. So yeah, it's amazing what you can do. It's just like a red piece of fabric will suddenly set your scene.
So Jeremy, what I would like to do is I would like to do an LLL in which our motto is a matador. And you can just twirl around a big piece of red fabric for the entire show.
So you should know that production I did in grad school, I was a matador. I had the jacket. I had big plastic bullhorns that I wore around most of the time.
Oh, dear God.
And like the big, like the cummerbund that they wear. Listen, I was really good.
You know what? No, I believe it. This is what we're doing. We're doing an LLL inspired by The Sun Also Rises, right? Where there's this like doom and gloom young generation, like there's this lethargy hanging over the young generation. They know that like They know that the impending darkness is on its way, and you are just going to be the most flamboyant matador who, like, shacked up from Spain, came here for a good time, not a long time, and it's going to be beautiful.
I'm on board.
Yeah.
Good time, not a long
That's
time.
We're doing a Hemingwayian Love's Labor's Lost.
Everyone else can be in black and white, and I will be in pink.
Yeah. There you go.
It'll be fantastic.
Actually, that is, now, Jeremy, you want to talk about, you know, sort of idiosyncratic directorial flourishes that, you know, like that black and white is mine. If I could do every single show in black and white with, like, one accent color that, like, means something, whether it's in a prop or a costume or in the set, like one very thematically resonant color, that I would do it, because I love black and white. I love what you can do with it and what you can suggest with it. When I did the Parkland Project, which was about, it was a partially devised piece about a group of high school students coming together after a mass shooting to remount their canceled production of Romeo and Juliet. It was all in black and white, and then Romeo and Juliet had red accents. Including
Love it. Love it.
I love it. So, and actually, the way that I've always wanted to do LLL is I've wanted to have the boys and girls in white, for the courtiers in white for almost the entire show, because they live lives where if they spill on themselves, someone else cleans it up, right? They're just peak elite. And so, like, at one point, like maybe his Ferdinand's sleeve gets caught, right, and then another servant, like, runs up and gives him a new white jacket because he just has never had to face the consequences of his actions in his life. And then when the news comes, there's a song that starts playing, and the princess strips off on stage and puts on a black dress, the exact same dress, like the same silhouette, but in black. And then the next time we see everyone on stage, all the courtiers are wearing black. I've always wanted to do it that way, and then you can just be the one wackadoodle with your, like, your red cummerbund and this, like, big red sash, and that's it. It's happening.
Sounds great. I'm on board. We did I love the black and white thing. The Hamlet I was talking about was all black. Everybody was in black. The set was black.
So
it was great. And we did an Antony and Cleopatra not unlike that, in which I played Antony a few years ago, and it was pretty much that. I have the picture of me playing Armado with bullhorns on. I will send it to you. It's quite a treat, I have to say.
I can't wait.
It's quite a treat.
I'm waiting with bated breath. No, that's awesome. How was it? Detour for a second. How was your experience playing Antony?
So I, first of all, and we have talked about this play.
We have.
But and we have different opinions on it, and I respect it. I just love it. I love it. It's like about real love as opposed to like the, when I say real, I don't know even know what that phrase means exactly, but like it's not like Romeo and Juliet. It's like Romeo and Juliet if they made it beyond 4 days. And like,
I just don't.
It was 30 years later.
I don't think you regress from the intellectual, like, groundedness of Juliet into the manic whirligig that is Cleopatra's mind.
Oh, I think she's a genius, and she's got very strong things going on internally, unaddressed traumas.
Sure.
And I think the language is great. I think Bill is sort of operating at peak Bill, and I think there's some really good stuff happening. And that production, I was both directing and playing Antony in.
I didn't know that.
And there were some great things in that production. We did some cool staging stuff that people like. There were people honestly impressed in that audience. I mean, in ways that surprised me. Like, I'm like, oh, this really landed. I also played the clown in that, which was a favorite thing to do every night. I will tell you, aside from one scene two scenes. I don't really remember playing Antony at all. Like, I have no memory of it. Like, I remember sort of what it was about.
Sure.
I remember getting ready for some of the performances, but it was such, like, it was high stress and trying to remember. He just doesn't stop talking. And so there was a lot to memorize, and it just kind of washed over. I remember our Cleopatra was fantastic. Sharon Veal, just off the chain good. And we had a lot of fun. We did this whole Baffo, like, circus opening to the Infanta by the Decembrists, and it was pretty fantastic. And the other thing I will say about that play, I feel this about many tragedies, just you know, like, they're actually comedies, but particularly about that play, I think there's so much comedy in that play for so long, and we played Antony sort of stabbing himself at the end as a comic bit, and I had fun with that every night.
Oh, see, that's really interesting, because that is the only scene, and I truly mean that, the only scene in that 4.5-hour play that I like is the scene where he tries to get Eros to stab him and Eros stabs himself. It's the only scene that, like, actually touches me on, like, a deeper level than just frustration.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. It's touching, and I had fun playing the vanity of Antony, and so when he stabbed himself every night, this is probably against the rules, and everybody who taught me Shakespeare who's listening is gonna, like, spit something on their keyboard, so I apologize in advance. But I stabbed myself, and then every night I just said, "Ow." And it was so great, because people were like, "Oh, this is a very serious play," and then they laughed, and then, like, seconds later, oh my gosh, he's that guy, and that was quite rewarding. I remember that.
There is War and Peace has been on my brain a lot recently, and there is a truly fantastic moment in the first, like, third of the book where the main character, Pierre, who's like a soft, squishy, lovely teddy bear, like, challenges his friend to a duel for sleeping with his wife, and he has no idea what he's doing. He's never fired a gun ever, and he ends up hitting his friend just by sort of sheer chance in their duel, and then his friend aims at him and shoots, and the last thing he says before he, like, collapses is he just says, "Missed." And he, like, falls forward. And there's something so just wonderful about that moment, because when you're reading it in a novel, like, it's high stakes if you don't know what's coming, and then this character who kind of all along has been this sort of, like, very flamboyant, very irreverent, Mercutian kind of, character, you just know that he's gonna go out on a winner, and his line is "missed." He just falls on his face. Stuff like that. I love when you're in a moment of high tension, and then there's a little balloon puncture that allows people, even if it's not laughter, even if it's not something funny, but rather a moment of, like, true, authentic human connection, right? In the middle of a hefty tragedy. Just anything that punctures the balloon, I think those moments are magic, and Shakespeare litters his plays with them.
So, you still have yet to answer your question.
I thought you were going to ask me. I feel like I'm just not, like, a good enough actor to play against type. And I really love acting. I like, worry that I would not do justice to the roles that I would want to take on. I think I just don't care that much about the tragedies. Like, I think there's a lot of potential there, but I'm not hugely invested in them. I do think that it would be pretty awesome to play Margaret of Anjou through her, like, 4-play journey. I don't think I have the range, but I love her, and I love the just cosmic size of her arc. And I would want to do it, I'd want to do it in all 4. I would want to make the big odyssey of her life. I would have to find some depth and grit, and physical fire in myself that I don't know if I've ever expressed on stage before, but God, I love that character. And I typically get cast as female characters because I present very femininely on stage, but they're usually more ingenue-ish, or they're just a little bit more innocent. Yeah, you're nodding your head, Jessie. I think you can kind of relate.
I feel ya.
And I wouldn't want to play Margaret in a way where it's like, look at me, I'm a feminist hero, everybody like me. I would want to play her honestly, with all of her multifaceted, wild, crazy beauty that sort of Shakespeare puts into her portrait. Yeah, love her. And then I think it would be fun. I think it would be fun to do something ridiculous, like play an Antipholus opposite like a male presenting Antipholus, stuff like that. I think would be just a hoot and a half. But actually, Jeremy, like my true dream role in the canon. This is, now that you've told me you directed and played Antony, my hope is like budding in my chest, because the only character I've ever wanted to play in Shakespeare, like for real, is the Princess of France in Love's Labour's Lost. Like, she is mine. She's like right here in my heart. And I love that character like more than life itself. It's the only one that I've ever been like, oof, if I don't play that, I will actually feel like I wasted my life. I love her. I love her. And I understand her. And I don't really know why, but in a really profound way, especially in the past couple years with everything that's happened with my dad. She's embedded in here. And that's what I love about Shakespeare, is I think he's got a lot of characters that just, they worm their way into your soul, and they make it so that you feel like you can't even be your whole full self until you get to the experience of playing them.
Yeah, I feel that way. There, every now and again, Anthony was not one of these people, but every now and again, I hit a character and I'm like, I get this person. Jake's and As You Like It is a character I get on a pretty deep level, you know. And sometimes you just hit it and you're like, oh, this person I get, I'm not that person, but I'm like, I know that person.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Who's that for you, Jessie?
Yeah.
Who do you know?
Who do I know? Oh, probably a lot of people. Well, there's been this joke with me playing Palamon right now in my argument scenes with Arcite in Knight's Tale. I really have fun with that, and I think the reason that is I very much channel middle schoolers that I used to teach. So I may be playing him way immature. I'm kind of pulling into that Romeo and Juliet, like this is a little bit ridiculous and hormonal. Yeah, so that's definitely one of the things I think that hits very hard. That's one of them, for sure.
That's great.
I love that play. I just have to say, nobody knows it and nobody ever does it, and I don't understand why, because it's fantastic.
I could tell you why. It's the Fletcher scenes. we were talking about this. Laurel and I were talking about this, about why can't you just say stuff and get to the point like Shakespeare does? And she was talking about having a directing friend who prefers others of Shakespeare's contemporaries more than Shakespeare. And Laurel's like, clearly she doesn't act it. She's not thinking of it from an actor's perspective. Because Shakespeare, like, especially looking at this play where you're seeing two contrasting voices, and I feel like for the most part they're very, you can tell who's talking. Like, you can tell who's writing, I feel like. And the actor can feel that trying to say the words. I was telling my brother that he has a very distinct syntax. Like, there's a change in syntax. The structure of the sentences are completely different when Fletcher's writing than Shakespeare's writing. So Fletcher kind of writes these tongue twisters. So yeah, I digress, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know Noble Kinsman all that well. But then this is something that we're just going to keep returning to, not just on this podcast, but just in general, Jeremy, which is that I'm kind of a crap Shakespearean, so... I love certain things, and then other things I'm like, oh, I don't know about that because I never cared enough to research it.
Well, that makes two of us. It's just I have a different set of things. I am aware of the Henry VI plays. I'm aware of Troilus and Cressida. Well, I mean, you know what I mean? I'm aware of them. Yes, I'm aware of them. They have been read. Hi, Ralph. Yes, they have been done, but I can't say. I will say this: I like very much. Not just like Henry VI Part 3 is fantastic. It's fantastic.
So are parts 1 and 2. Just saying.
I'm saying an editor could have helped a young master Shakespeare just a little bit.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the histories are my sort of great love, because they are political, and you can be political with the way that you stage, cast, and make them, so I love that, and that's where I have found, with a few outlying exceptions in the tragedies and comedies, like Love's Labour's Lost is deep in my heart, Romeo and Juliet is deep in my heart. Like Rosalind, the fact that she's like the actor manager of her own happiness, that she is like a theater director stuck in a forest, like I identify with that. Like there are pieces in the rest of the canon, but like my great love is the history track, and the thing is, like, it's not because of the historical research. I'm not interested in doing historically accurate productions. That's not where the interest lies. It's because those plays deal with war and politics and how people are out for themselves, and the fact that the first to die always, always, always are the innocents. The women, the children, the ones who didn't want to fight, they are always the first ones to go. And then these just impossibly mythic figures like Margaret and York and Jack Cade pop up in the vacuum of stability. And it's just, it's so timely. So that's where my love is. I agree with you on Trails of Cressida. That play is ridiculous. Have you read it, Jessie, or been involved with it? TNC?
No, that's one of the ones I have not gotten into. I have a list of ones that I definitely have to read, but yeah, that's one that's on my to read list still.
I see. I don't know that you have to read it.
Don't read it?
I don't know
okay.
That's something you have to do.
There was actually for a short time, we were going to put Troilus and Cressida on next year's season, along with Medea and a commissioned version of the Odyssey.
Oh, that would have been cool.
And we were going to do a themed Greek thing, Sweet Tea Shakespeare Goes Greek, as our marketing piece, and that went away. We kept Medea.
I mean, honestly, of the three, that's the one I would keep.
Yeah.
I am very excited about that one. So much. I want to be a part of that show. Even if I'm just a little boy.
It's such a show.
There are little boys in the show.
There are little boys, so I can play type and be a little boy and have, maybe no lines.
Just be murdered backstage. It'll be fantastic.
No! With lots of fabric.
That's it, you're hired.
That's right. All the fabric is blood, or whatever. And
we pop the fabric down from the magnets and, collapse the fabric on top of the children.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just turning this into a production meeting.
It'll be so village. It'll be great.
Yeah. Well, and isn't it the same slot as Sweeney Todd was? Am I right?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Same venue. Yeah.
Same venue. Yeah.
Awesome.
I think finally of Sweeney Todd now and again.
I think I found your apron today.
You did. We found lots of Sweeney Todd costumes today as we were digging.
Exciting. If we ever do that again, my husband, I think, is so in. That's his favorite musical by far and large.
As it happens,
so
Sweeney Todd was on the short list to bring back this coming season.
So maybe next year.
Because it went so well. So yeah. We learned some things in that show. It's hard to do a show in a pie shop I don't know if anyone's ever tried. Not like the fake pie shop that they built in New York for that thing. Like a real, actual, like, we serve pies here.
Living, breathing.
Trying to squeeze like 50 people into the tightest imaginable space. Like, it's like roughly the size of your living room. Doesn't matter whose living room it is. It's about that size. We're going to put 50 people in there, make them all look like this at the production. And people came. They loved it. They ate it up.
Y'all had to add shows, I believe.
Yeah. That's just like, that deserves.
Well, the bad thing was I didn't even intend it.
We had a splash zone of blood, and that was pretty fun. I mean, because you can't. I mean, if you use actual blood in that show, you're going to get it everywhere. And we got it on the audience. And like a couple times it happened. You know, like, guys, nice dress shirt or whatever. I'm like, we'll pay for your new shirt. And they refused. It became like a souvenir, a wearable.
Saw Sweeney Todd at CFRT with Nathan. It was great. Thank you, listener.
I don't know who that is.
Take your word for it.
But Nathan was not in Sweeney Todd at CFRT. But thank you. But I was in Sweeney Todd at CFRT. I played Beetle Bamford, so
nice.
You know, I've been in Sweeney Todd 3 times. Played Anthony, Beetle, and Sweeney finally, and that's another show I do over and over again for the rest of my life if allowed.
I've always wanted to play Joanna in Sweeney Todd. It is one of my favorite musicals, and I absolutely love the Nathan is my son.
It's Nathan's dad. He went with Nathan.
Oh, went with Nathan. Okay, good. It's like, Earl, I was there.
I remember the cast. That is so. I can't believe you've been in Sweeney Todd or participated in it 3 times. Like, I don't know
that's
if I've
crazy.
Ever been in the same. I don't know that I've ever come in contact with the play more than once live. That's just
I've never. Yeah, I couldn't make it to the production. I was so sad. Yeah, I think there's only one show I've done twice, which is Seussical, which is one of my all-time favorites. It's like, I love Sweeney Todd, I love Seussical. They're complete polar opposites.
Yes, they really are.
But they're delightful in their own special ways.
Yeah, I don't know Seussical at all. I think I've heard
so
one
good. The soundtrack's amazing. Okay. So, you know, if you like happy, upbeat, like, will make you feel fantastic ballads, the ballads are awesome, especially.
Okay, very cool. Nathan's dad, thanks for tuning in and affirming the show. I really wish I could have seen it. Sweeney Todd is one of the ones that I hear talked about sort of over and over again as I continue to get to know the Sweet Tea Shakespeare community. It's the play that often crops up in conversation, and the novelty of doing it in a pie shop. Like, there is just something so quote unquote delicious about that. I hate to bring the party to a close, but I just got a notification that my computer has 10% battery left and is gonna die soon. So
no,
we wore it out.
Yeah, I think we are servants to necessity in this case. But thank you so much, both of you, for taking time out of your Saturday to hang with me and chat Shakespeare. Everyone who's listening,
I just want to say that I'm back on tomorrow morning. I'm going to talk with another West Coaster, Rob Gibbs, at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. So those of you on the West Coast, just grab a donut and meet me right here. We're going to talk about Succession, which is a very Shakespearean show.
Yes, it is.
And we're going to talk about anti-Stratfordianism because, oh my God, I've had an adventure with anti-Stratfordians all week.
Yeah,
it's been a whole can of worms.
That's the only way that this was ever going to fall out, Jeremy.
It's been amazing, and I'm happy we're going to both talk about what anti-Stratfordianism is, for those of you who don't know, and then I'm going to relay my story. And let me say there have been multiple emails and phone calls, not just to me and Sweet Tea Shakespeare, but like people who we deal with in business.
Rant wow. Tomorrow, my computer is now down to 8% battery, so just like save it for the morning.
It's going to be fantastic. 11:30 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
You are both awesome. I'm going to play us out now.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.